Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Talk with Broads. We are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. Look, normally, I'm not one of those Dallas Cowboys people. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of Eagles fans that are so heavily focused on Dallas that I feel they're way too obsessed with what Dallas is doing. Oh, Dallas sucks, right? And I get it. It's a rivalry. But I'm the one that normally looks at their own team and I go, we have our own issues. We need to fix our own problems before I look at what else is going on. Before I want to rip apart the Dallas Cowboys, how about we figure it the hell out internally in the Philadelphia Eagles organization or at the NovaCare complex, right? There's so many problems. But watching the Dallas Cowboys play on Monday night, sheesh, that is some horrendous-looking football. Now, they're banged up, too, and when you're on your backup quarterback, I know the Eagles won with Nick Foles, but statistically, when you go to your backup quarterback, you're screwed. Now, the difference between the two squads, and I asked this question on Twitter, are the Eagles this bad? Do the Eagles look this bad? Because if so, I apologize for making people watch that, because that was horrendous. That was not fun. That was not entertaining whatsoever. That was a horrendous football game. So if the Eagles look like that every single Sunday, I really do apologize to every other fan base that has to sit through that nonsense. But I bring that up because the difference between the two teams, the Eagles fight. The Eagles fight, and I'm not going to pretend as if the quarterback situation does not matter. Dak Prescott being out there compared to Andy Dalton, while Andy Dalton is someone who started a ton of games, he has a lot of experience, it's not the same. So the fact that the Eagles do have their quarterback and he's the one battling his tail off, putting his shoulder down, going on 40-yard runs, that does make a difference. But the Eagles are fighting, and that is Doug Pederson's MO. He is not the strongest X's and O's guys by any means, but what he does do is he keeps everyone involved, and from that part of the coaching background and from what's so important from a coach when it comes to keeping everyone on the same page, even when the times get tough, he definitely does do that. And I think it's funny because, Jason Garrett got a lot of blame, and deservingly so. Look, he did not succeed whatsoever in Dallas, and they underachieved a ton. But coming into this year with Mike McCarthy, there was this big speculation of what he was going to do for that squad. And look, it's embarrassing, no doubt about it. Their defensive coordinator is a joke. Their defense as a whole is a joke. Maybe, just maybe, there's a lot more problems internally than just the head coach. There's an opportunity there, and I can't believe I'm saying it, and I really don't want to get sucked down that road because I want to fix the Philadelphia Eagles' problems. And realistically, there's problems other than injuries, but I firmly do believe that if they ever do get healthy, and I'm pissed off because I'm going to get into some big key injuries for Thursday night's game against the New York Giants, but if they ever do get healthy, this division is theirs, and it shouldn't be. By all means, it should not be. I'm not happy that they're in this scenario. But who the hell knows? 5 wins could win this bad boy. And people ask me all the time, Broads, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? The answer is yes. Yes, it's worth it. I need to see Carson Wentz play in a playoff game. I value that. It should be valuable. Your franchise guy, the 28-year-old who has never played in a playoff game yet, he needs that experience, whether they deserve to be in it or not. I don't care. I don't. All I care about is him being able to complete a playoff game. That's important to me. But man, I really don't want to go down the path of Dallas sucks, because that's not me. But watching that Monday night game, Zeke fumbling the football 10 billion times, the defense getting shredded by Kyler Murray, Drake, you name it, it's pathetic. And when I look at both teams right now, while the Eagles' record is a joke, and when they go, 6 straight drives of terrible football. They're negative yards somehow. It's bad on the Eagles side, but the body language and the trajectory, it seems, is at least trending towards the Eagles' favor. And not that it's good by any means, but it's not as bad as the Dallas Cowboys, let's say. Wild. We are in this position that we are in today. But look, this is the hand we were dealt. And you got to make the most of this opportunity. This division blows. This division sucks. Be the best in the shitty division. Figure it out. Now, it's not going to get easy on Thursday. While you do go up against an opponent like the New York Giants, who are not some tremendous football team, Zach Ertz, got to miss multiple weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, they're saying. Miles Sanders, out. Couple weeks. Jack Driscoll, out. Couple weeks. Malik Jackson, out. A couple weeks. When you look at the list of injuries, it honestly looks like when you go to CVS. You ever go to CVS and you're sitting there, it's awkward, you're waiting forever as the cashier is waiting for that long-ass receipt to print out. And you're thinking, come on, man, I don't need all these coupons and all this nonsense. And he's folding it, or she is folding it, she gives it to you, and it's so long. You open it up and it drops to the floor. That's what it looks like every time the Eagles put out a report. Miles Sanders being out is huge. You saw over the last handful of games him being able to actually go through the opposing team's defensive front, hit the second wave, make people miss, boom, 70-plus yarder, taking it to the house. He has that ability. Boston Scott, Corey Clement, utilizing another back that's buried in the depth chart. Now, running back, there's always, not always, but if there is a position where someone can make some noise, it is the running back position over all of the other ones. And hell, you saw Boston Scott do it before. And let's be realistic. The New York Giants are not some tremendous football team. You're not facing the Ravens defense, and you're not facing the Steelers defense. So, hey, maybe one of those guys can step up for one game. And I know it's going to be maybe longer than the one game with Miles Sanders, but we got to take it one game at a time at this point. So my mind is only on the New York Giants. I know some people are getting ahead of themselves and going, oh, look what's ahead of us. You have Giants, Cowboys, bye, right? Division play. Look, I can't do that right now. Knowing where the Eagles are one game at a time, can one running back step up and play and be a factor and be effective? With this offensive line, though, losing Driscoll, what's going to happen? Is Opeta going to play? Toth wasn't very good. Brown was so garbage, and I heard Adam Kaplan speak about what he heard from very respected people in the NFL, and when they looked at the tape, while Mailata had a couple plays here and there that he would like to have back, Mailata was solid. Herbig was solid. Kelsey was good. That right side of the line, specifically Brown, was garbage. He was awful. And I know that's not breaking news, but it was shocking to hear how well the other players actually played. That doesn't mean they played perfect. There were some mistakes involved from some of the other guys, but it's crazy to think how one man getting waxed all the time from Campbell. That's how bad it looked. That's how bad it is. When one guy on the offensive line plays that terrible, it snowballs into thinking that like this whole entire line played that garbage. That's how well you need to play. That's how bad it is when one guy doesn't step up to do his job. There's just no way that you could put him out there. I don't know the situation with Matt Pryor at the moment. He was put on the COVID list, but it wasn't because he had COVID. So hopefully he can become available. And that's not saying a lot. I mean, Matt Pryor stunk and he was garbage before Brown went in, but Brown was that bad that you can't justify putting him out there. Again, I really can't see a way. The fact that Carson Wentz was hitting 16 times, he was hit 16 times. That's a joke. That's unacceptable. That can't happen. You can't succeed with that type of offensive line play. So I tie that back to the running game. And how can you have an effective running game losing someone like Miles Sanders, who has clearly became a stud in this league, and you can't rely on your offensive line whatsoever? That's going to be a big issue. Now, Malik Jackson on the defensive side, I think you have depth at that position. Bringing back someone like Vinny Curry, he gives you versatility, whether it's inside, outside. You're not as in a tough spot in that situation than the others, but that is a name to look out for. And look, Zach Ertz, while he has been underwhelming, he is someone who catches the attention of the opposing team's defense. Now, Dallas Goedert is up in the air right now. Hopefully we hear an update soon on what Dallas Goedert is and where he is at in terms of coming back. Him and Jalen Reagor, these are the names you might be hearing soon, just to get an update on where they are. I mean, Jalen Reagor had surgery on his thumb. He's definitely not coming back for Thursday, but, let's start to hear some noise as they're coming off the IR, possibly. Things are going to be happening with those two. But look, losing Zach Ertz, that is big. Now, hopefully, Alshon Jeffrey is available. On Sunday morning before the game against the Ravens, Adam Schefter tweeted out that Deshaun Jackson should be available for Thursday's game. And at this point, if he's not playing, I'm going to lose my damn mind. The guy needs to go play. You're 1-4-1. Your football team somehow has a chance to win the damn division. Deshaun Jackson needs to be on the field. It's not that hard. All right? He's got to get back on the field. But I raise this question. How does that impact Fulgham? How does that impact the offense? Mike Gill and I were talking about this on 97.3 ESPN. When guys start to get healthy and people start to come back, while right now it seems like even though people are returning, guys are leaving at the same time, so you're never going to get a bunch of healthy people back at the same time. But let's just say there's a scenario where that does happen. Does Fulgham lose snaps? And the answer is no. You do not take Fulgham off the field for anybody at this point. He deserves to be out there. He's getting two guys on him, double coverage, and he goes up and makes a play. Was there a tiny bit of a push-off? Maybe, maybe not. But that play is so iffy in this league. Sometimes they call that one, sometimes they don't. Marcus Peters, Humphrey, no. Give me that damn football. You keep Fulgham in there, and then he asks the question, how do you implement the other guys around Fulgham? And I know that sounds silly, as if who is this guy? OBJ or Julio Jones or any of these other top-tier wide receivers? And on this team right now, yes, he is that top-tier wide receiver. You don't take him off the field for anybody. Now, that doesn't mean he plays 100% of the snaps. If he's off the field for a couple snaps here and there, I'm not going to lose my damn mind, depending on what the alternative is. May I add that, right? I mean, like if Alshon Jeffrey is going to be very limited, and let's say he gets a handful of snaps, and in those handful of snaps, maybe Fulgham is off the field for 1 or 2 plays, 3, 4 plays, whatever. I'm not going to literally blow my brains out because Fulgham's not in that situation. I can live with that. But look, you got to have him out there on the field. It's just that simple. And with Zach Ertz being out for a significant amount of time, that's going to be crucial. And not only to this team right now, but I'll be honest with you, with the trade value of Zach Ertz as well, because it's pretty damn clear, to me at least, it's time to move on from Zach Ertz. You're hearing reports that Howie Roseman is being active. He wants to be a buyer. And look, the headlines are what they are, but it depends on exactly what it is. If you're buying, air quotes here, and that means you're trading Zach Ertz for a linebacker or whatever the case may be, or you say you trade Alshon, you make a move there. I mean, I'm not against anything like that. Now, I don't know who's going to want Alshon with that type of contract and with the Liz Frank injury. I'm just throwing out random scenarios here, some hypotheticals to say, what does buying really mean? If he's giving up first and second round picks, third round picks, and things of that nature, like let's say he makes a Golden Tate type trade, third round pick for a wide receiver you're only going to have for a handful of games. I mean, you got to value the future as well with this team because they're not in a good spot, and you're going to have to draft a lot of players because you're in cap hell, and you're going to have to spend very limited amount of money on these players that you draft, right? When you draft these players, you get them at cheap. You need to get cheap players who can be effective because you're not in a great situation financially. John Hightower. Can we do less with John Hightower? The problem is he's getting open, but you need to catch the damn football. There's a reason why, with that speed, he was available in the 5th round of the draft, and the reason I think we're noticing is he can't track the ball. Now, does that mean he's going to stink forever? No, but that's a major flaw right now, and I don't know if Carson Wentz can trust him, and I don't know if I really am mad at Carson Wentz for not trusting him. I can somewhat support it. The guy drops balls all the time. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this. Jalen Hurts needs to be more involved. And that's just because of the situation at hand. You're lacking weapons. You are lacking weapons. I like Greg Ward, but he's just a reliable guy who can make a catch. That catch over by the sideline last game, it was pretty damn awesome, not going to lie, but there was some luck involved. His shin hit the foot of the other player. And look, that happens all the time throughout the NFL. I like Greg Ward. I think he has a role, right? But it's not an explosive guy. Jalen Hurts, I'm not a fan of the pick. I won't justify that pick because when you freak out about Nate Gary being on the field and you freak out about how this team lacks certain playmakers defensively, yet you justify Jalen Hurts, it makes no sense to me. Jalen Hurts is a nice piece. I'm okay with gadget players, but I want a completed roster first. You don't have that. You have so many holes defensively. You have arguably the worst linebacking core in the history of football. You can't be excited with a gadget player when you have that type of hole defensively. But here's who they have. They have him on the roster, and I think you got to utilize him more. Now, it can't be that wonky, desperate crap that they tried selling you where it was Wentz to Hurts, back to Carson Wentz with that nonsense. But look, he's someone who is explosive. He's an athlete. You got to find a way to put him in this offense more because you lack creativity. You lack playmakers, and he's someone on the bench who can do it. I don't like the pick in the second round, and I hate how every time I talk about him now, that needs to be addressed. I didn't like it, but here is who they have on the roster. You need to find a way. You don't have Miles Sanders. You don't have Zach Ertz. Your offensive line is whacked. You have Fulgham, maybe Deshaun Jackson. We'll learn more information as the week goes on. Jalen Hurts is someone who I think deserves time. Whether you like it or not, he was a spark plug in that game that helped create some offense. It's based off of default. You got to utilize him by default. He needs more snaps than what he had. Sadly, that's the position you're in when you are this banged up. And it sucks. It definitely sucks. Some other things here before we get to some anytime hotline phone calls. The 24/7 anytime hotline. Doug Pederson, I was thinking about Dougie P. And I'm sure Doug P will come up in some of these calls with that play at the end, right? The 2-point conversion. The 2-point conversion still blows my mind because here's a guy who, like, you're a head coach. You got to be thinking on your toes. You got to be thinking about this stuff. You know if you score, you're going for 2. So how do you get down there and you just don't have any clue? Like, you don't have any clue? You're driving down the field. In the back of your mind, you always got to think ahead. If we score, we're going for 2. Then when the scenario comes up, that's what you call? That is the play? It's honestly embarrassing from Doug Pederson. Like, you got to be better. You got to be thinking on your toes. A head coach who can't think on his toes, that's a bad head coach. That's what it is. Now, I'm not saying Doug Pederson is a bad head coach because I think he has tendencies that other coaches don't have in this league that are very important, like keeping your team engaged and in the right mindset when things go wrong. But I don't know if he's the best play caller. I've been saying that for years. And I don't know if his creativity is good enough, but he does have a major tendency that is very important. It's just, can you surround Doug Pederson with the right guys? That's what it seems to be. Now, we're going to get to these anytime hotline calls. First, though, I want to let you know about Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, Orbit is home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure that your solar project is completed easily and properly with trained professionals to get the job done right. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It's all down below. Also, I want to let everybody know about the new Sports Talk with Broads membership options that are available. There's 3 different tiers. You can find it underneath all of my videos or on youtube.com/sportstalkwithbroads, my actual page. There's 3 different tiers. People reach out to me, Broads, I want to help, I want to support, and I always say the simple answer, just watch, watching, commenting, hitting the like button, subscribe, the standard stuff. That's all good, man. Like, that's all great. That's all, I just appreciate it. The support is crazy. But no, I really want to support more. You put a lot into this. I'm like, God, I'll open up some memberships. So, there's 3 different tiers. You can check them out. It's not mandatory by any means, but I put the options out there because people were reaching out to me, so I thought I would do that. So, all right, let's knock out some of these anytime hotline calls. The phone number is 856-442-9805. You can call in at any point. Leave your message, and we will react. There's so many damn calls. I love it. It's getting to the point where there's so many calls, it's overwhelming, but good, keep it that way. Let's go.
What's up, bros? Huge fan over here. Man, I tell you, being an Eagles fan, it's not good for your health. It really isn't. And man, I've been a huge fan of Wentz ever since we drafted him. Super excited. And it just breaks my heart how this team cannot get him some damn help. Like, it's unreal. And yet, he comes out there and performs like a beast. I just don't understand how some fans still put the blame on him. He started out a little iffy, but, Carson Wentz is the real deal, and he changed the culture in Philadelphia. So I just wanted to hear what you had to say about that.
Look, first I heard your Xbox go off. I'm an Xbox man myself, right? Look, with Carson Wentz, I'm a Carson Wentz fan, no doubt about it. There are people who are underwhelmed with him, and, there's that Nick Foles crowd, and now you're hearing this Jalen Hurts crowd. I don't know why people don't like him. I get that he's flawed. He's not a perfect quarterback, but I guess when you come into the league, and he had a 7-9 record his first season, and it was intriguing. When you set the bar as high as you do, the expectations are so high, so when you don't play to that, I guess it frustrates people, but, you can win without Carson Wentz playing at that level. You can still have a successful franchise, successful seasons, playoff wins, and hell, even a Super Bowl. If Carson Wentz isn't playing at his 2017 level, you just can't have this type of injury history with the squad. You can't win like this. You just can't win like this. You can't win with this roster. You can't win with an offensive line that's on your fourth string guys. You can't win with relying on guys like Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson having that much money tied up in those two players who can't get on the field whatsoever. It's not a winning recipe. You need a full crew to win a Super Bowl, right? And look, is it easier to win with an Aaron Rodgers, with a Breeze, with a Pat Mahomes? No doubt about it. But you need everyone on the same page. You need a full-on organization that's properly executing all around the board. It's not just, well, if you have an elite quarterback, you're going to go win a Super Bowl. Because that's not really the case. Aaron Rodgers has won. Drew Brees has won. Now, Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. Carson Wentz isn't him. And if you wait to go get the next Tom Brady, good luck. We'll be recycling over and over and over again. It's hard. It's hard to win. Carson Wentz right now, if he plays the way that he plays during this type of stretch with actual players, with an actual offensive line that's not getting him crushed, with legit playmakers, with guys who can catch the football, well, you're talking about a totally different outcome and a totally different record. Like people are like, why do you always make excuses for him? Look at the box score. Carson Wentz in his box score, it never shows his actual game. Because if you look over the last two games, while they were losses, they scored how many points against the top defenses in the league? That would win you games against everybody else in the damn league. His box score never shows his play. Because you can look at his box score, his completion percentage. That would tell you horrendous football. Carson Wentz was not horrendous over the last couple of weeks.
Hey, bros. Hope you're having a good day, man. I just wanted to say that both the Steelers game and the Baltimore game these past 2 weeks, I see a lot of people upset about it, but I'm more so feeling like it's been a net positive. Seeing the team that we started out with that's getting kind of blown out by the Washington football team and teams that have a much lower caliber. It's nice seeing us be able to keep it competitive with teams that people are considering capable of going to the Super Bowl. So I'm just wondering what your take is on that.
Look, I'm with you. I understand it. But at the same time, I see the other side. Are you okay with moral victories throughout a season? And I know you got to have context. You're so banged up. Does your team really have a chance to win much this year? No, they don't. So with that being said, with being a team that clearly isn't that good right now, they're hanging with the best. What can happen if they actually get healthy and they can, be a real team again? Does that mean if they are healthy and back that they're actually a good team? Look, I get the moral victory side of things. I'm not going to just pretend like that's not valuable. You need to be realistic with the expectations of who they are. To me, though, it's just all about Carson. Because the first 3 games, if Carson Wentz played the whole season like he did the first 3 games, you wouldn't really know. You wouldn't know what to do. But if Carson Wentz plays this way for the next however many games in the rest of the season, regardless of playoffs or not, or whatever the case may be, you can be intrigued for Carson Wentz next season. You can still be all about Carson Wentz. For me, it really is a Carson Wentz bounce back from the first 3 games type season, and I need to see who he is by the end of the year. It is a little odd to me that this guy, when it's structured, he looks all over the place. When it's loosey-goosey, Carson go do whatever, things are falling apart, that's when he plays tremendous, when it's backyard football. And I just don't know if backyard football wins. Now, I'm not down on Carson. I'm a Carson fan. But it is something that's very odd to me. Why can't he win when it's structured football?
Hey, bros. Let me start off by saying that I don't think there's anyone better at throwing off their back foot than Carson Wentz. That's number one. Also, I think even though the defense gave up 30 points, I think Schwartz kind of made all the fire Schwartz people quiet today. The way the defense stepped up in the second half was great, and I think that deserves some credit for that. Carson had a rough first half, but he started to show that Carson Wentz had let us down the stretch last year when it came to crunch time, and even though we lost, I feel happy about that moving forward. Fulgham also had a good game, considering he was going against arguably the top cornerback duo in the league with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. But obviously, there are some negatives that need to be talked about. I'm not going to bash Doug for going for 2 the first time, because they made up for it on the next conversion, which honestly would have made the score the same anyway. The problem I have with that attempt is that he did a read option that didn't work, and then when the game was on the line, he looked what to do. It looked like he did the exact same play, and a big surprise, it didn't work.
Yeah, that thing really confused me. Now, the original 2-point conversion, I wasn't happy with it at the time, and it does get frustrating. But I do think it's overblown because they were getting the 2-point conversions afterwards, which made up for it. And ultimately, I didn't think that was the difference in winning or losing the game. Even though they didn't get it the first time, they got it the second time. Here's where I have a problem. Doug Pederson said on Monday on WIP that, he exhausted all of his red zone plays and all this. Like, that's bad. That's embarrassing. That's being unprepared. That's a horrendous answer. You can't answer that any worse than you did. And look, if you ran so many 2-point conversion plays because you went for it every single damn time, well, maybe you should have kicked the extra point, right? There's the alternative. If you have just limited amount of plays there, well, then maybe you should kick a field goal or an extra point because you're going to need those plays later on. Clearly, you ran through them. You burned them because you had to go through so many. What a horrendous answer by him. But yeah, the read option at the end was an embarrassment, and how he doesn't think about that before as they're going on that drive, that's a sign of someone who's unprepared for the moment. And that's been something that's happened a couple times so far this season, whether it was punting against Cincinnati or Claypool versus Gary. You mentioned the defense. I thought the defense was fine. I know they allowed 30 points, tough matchup for them personnel-wise. Jim Schwartz did not get out-schemed. This wasn't a Jim Schwartz loss. This is, they're limited in talent back there, and they did the best that they possibly could do. You saw Roby Coleman play some outside corner. Maybe that was them trying to force Lamar Jackson to throw the ball. Mills went back to safety with Will Parks in the mix. They had some looks there with Rodney McLeod as well. I didn't think the defense got out-schemed. Brandon Graham had a hell of a performance, though, and I don't think that it's getting talked about enough, to be honest with you.
Hey, bros. I'm so fed up with Doug Pederson's play call. I just can't keep putting myself through this. If he had gone for extra points instead of lame 2-point conversion attempts, that game would have been much different. But, I'm sick of all the Carson slander. I watched him fight back with this team after what should have been a wash. I had stopped watching the game. But I just think that Doug Pederson, someone needs to take the play calling away from Doug Pederson.
I know that was a conversation with him before. I don't think that's a reality, and it's not this year. It'll be interesting to see what the front office does, what the ownership does this season if things go wrong. And look, it already is. I don't care if they win the division at 6-9-1. Changes better be made. You're just win by default. You're actually like just the best team in the worst division. It's like being the tallest, midget. It is what it is, though. You still got to make changes. Doug Pederson, he hasn't been strong. This has not been his best season. He's got to figure it out. He needs to be better. It starts with him. He's the leader of the team. He needs to do a better job. Now, you mentioned you stopped watching the game. I don't know if I can do that. As bad as it is, I don't know if I can do that. I got to watch it. I got to sit through the whole thing. Let them just cause me pain.
Broads, this is a frustrating game today. I mean, we know the Eagles are not a good football team. That's obvious. But Baltimore gave them plenty of opportunities to win this game. I mean, just too many penalties from the Ravens. Gave the Eagles chance after chance. But when you're a bad team, you don't take advantage of the opportunities that you're given. But I will say this for my one criticism. Can Doug Pederson compute simple mathematics? It's 17-6, and you go for 2. And 2 of the times you went for 2, you draw up 2 of the worst play calls you can possibly draw up in those situations. Just, again, it's a race between the Eagles and the Phillies to see which organization is worse, and right now it can go either way.
Look, the analytics told him to go for it. I hate to say that, but it is reality. There's numbers and all this computer-generated stuff. Go for 2. If you get it, you're in a better position to come back, yada, yada, yada. I mean, the analytics was it, and even like the caller said previously, he was upset about it, and I was too after the game. But if you do the math and you add it up and what they did with the 2-point conversions, it wasn't the difference in the game because they did get a couple of them, but yes, the read option plays, they're bad. It's simple, right? It's pretty simple. Carson Wentz, roll to the right. Roll out. Roll him to the right and let him make a play. That's what you do when it comes to the 2-point conversion when you're close inside the red zone. That's what you need to do. Get Carson rolling. Let him make a play. Let him find someone. In terms of the Ravens, giving them opportunities, you nailed it, and I said this before. We keep talking about a misplay here, a misplay there, right? Throughout a couple games this season. Well, if this happened, then they would have won. Yeah, well, you don't say that when your team is good. That's what bad football teams do. I know that there are some really disgusting teams like the New York Jets, and then there's the Chiefs. So there are some teams that are, definitely in different modes. But majority of the football league has teams that all compete, and it's not as far as a gap as you might think. Every game, there's always a play here, a play there, right? The bad teams, they don't hit on them. And right now, they're a bad team because they don't have good talent. They just don't. They're that depleted. It's not an excuse. It's a reality. Like, they just don't have a lot of talent. They don't have a lot of playmakers. They're hurting on the offensive line. They don't have a linebacking unit. They don't have another outside corner outside of Darius Slay. Their safeties are, Ronnie McLeod's okay. You don't really have somebody filling in the other spot. Hopefully Will Parks can contribute and be that guy. The Ravens didn't play a good football game. They didn't. They're probably laughing at the Eagles.
I just have one question for the Wentz haters. What are you going to blame him on today, man? This man fought all game. Wentz fought all game. His O-line can't block. He's getting thrown to the ground. The defense is killing him. But he's still making plays, either with his legs or with his arms. What else do you want with him? It's not his fault. It's not his fault. Blame it on Howie. Blame it on the play calling, but it's not his fault.
I see where you're going. And look, I'm a Carson Wentz fan just like anybody else is. Well, not everybody else, because there is a fan base within the Eagles fans that don't want him to succeed for some reason. But, he's not perfect. He misses a lot of throws. He does fumble the football a lot. Maybe not as much as Zeke. No, jeez. No, Wentz fumbles the ball way too much, all right? Carson Wentz makes mistakes, and he's not perfect, and he does miss guys, and he has caused the Eagles to be in this scenario, right? The first 3 games were horrendous. I can't pretend like that didn't happen. I can't pretend like the first 6 drives didn't happen. Now, he did not get help from John Hightower on a 50-yard bomb on 3rd and 22. There are factors. I'm with you, though. I see where you're going, but there are some problems with Carson Wentz as well.
Hi, bros. Big fan. Regarding the Ravens game, I do not see our defense slowing down that offense. I see the D-line getting pressure, but as far as stopping them and slowing them down, I do not see that happening.
Well, that is weird. That might have been one from the preview show. That sounded like a preview, no? Like what is going to happen? I apologize.
Hey, bros. Listen, I am not feeling hot about this week at all. But I feel as though the Eagles will have a chance because I hear Jalen Hurts is playing offensive tackle. Because isn't that what we got in the second round? Oh, wait, no, we got a quarterback in the second round, and we have a wide receiver who is not even playing, who was our first-round draft pick. I feel like Howie Roseman has to go, dude. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I've never been a fan of him. After 3 or 4 missed opportunities in the draft, I just think he needs to go, and this organization is not going to succeed until he's gone.
I will say this. Look, Howie Roseman has not been good, but internally, a lot goes on behind closed doors. I don't think this is just Howie Roseman's decisions. I think the owner's involved. I think there's a lot of people involved than just Howie Roseman. But Howie Roseman is in the GM chair. To knock Jalen Reagor, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I mean, the guy, he had surgery on his thumb because his thumb was hanging off of his hand. To say that he's not going to work, he's a bad wide receiver just because of that, well, that's unfair. I mean, yeah, Jefferson's lighting it up, and he seems to be a stud, and CeeDee Lamb is doing good. Like, there's receivers who are doing good in the same draft class, but he hasn't had an opportunity to really show it yet. If anything, he shows you he's tough. You know, you did see one beautiful 55-yard bomb right into his chest, 55 yards or so, with a really beautiful catch when he did play. You can't rule him out. The Jalen Hurts thing I'm not happy about at all, but you got to utilize him now. You would have never drafted an offensive lineman in that spot. You probably should have went with a linebacker or like a Chin or Logan Wilson, someone like that would have been more realistic. But if you didn't miss on J-Jaw and you got DK Metcalf, then in the first round you could have got someone like Queen who you saw do some damage, and then it changes everything. But yeah, look, but you got to go back to the ownership and everyone involved in making those draft picks. While I do think Howie Roseman is a problem, I think that there's other problems in there as well when it comes to drafting. Look, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, I heard this take, and I thought it was pretty funny. I was listening to Zach Berman of The Athletic and those guys over there, that crew. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's a hell of a blocker. You want to laugh at it? That play with Miles Sanders, though, the fact that he was that far downfield holding his block, impressive. Could he be a tight end? Now, blocking in the trenches, different scenario than blocking wide receivers downfield, but he has a skill set. Can you utilize that skill set somewhere else? Because there's no reason to just waste him out there blocking all the time downfield. Can you find a way to bulk his ass up and make him a tight end? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it's somewhat of a joke, but he does have a skill set. And I do think it's important to look at the skill sets of players being able to make the most out of them. What are they good at? What are they good at? What are the positives in their game? Well, how can you address that and help them out the best and put them in good positions? Now, I'm not saying putting him in the trenches, close to these big defensive players at his body structure right now is the best thing for him. I'm kind of making a joke, but at the same time, somewhat leaving the door open. I mean, that's all the guy can do.
Hey, bros, it's Max from South Florida. Born and raised in South Jersey, so I'm a huge Eagles fan, and I'm an even bigger Wentz fan. I think this game, the reason why we were in it was because of his toughness. That play he had in the fourth quarter when he was running down the sideline, putting his shoulder down, dragging the defenseman, that's the reason why I like this guy. He's our franchise quarterback. And also, next week, if Deshaun and Alshon Jeffrey come back, they need to have a backseat to Fulgham because he's earning his stripes on this team.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It would be silly for Fulgham to lose snaps for those guys. He deserves it. I mean, he is your number one guy at this moment. It's crazy. It's wild. It's mind-blowing, but it's a reality. He is your number one guy. He's your number one guy. How do you implement other guys around him? That's the question. It's fair. He deserves it. He earned it. He can go get the football. He can get open. Until he doesn't do it anymore, it's his shot. It's his spot to lose at this point. And if it's not that way, because someone wants to make sure they look good, like Howie Roseman, for example, I just mentioned Howie, if he has an impact on the 53-man roster, which was reported by Jeff McClain on 97.5 The Fanatic on Anthony Gargano's show a week ago or so, maybe not a week ago, maybe it was a handful of days ago or so, and it was, trending around Twitter and the quotes were flying around a bit. There's no way that Alshon should play over him because Howie Roseman signed him, or Deshaun should play over him because of certain situations. You could play Deshaun and Fulgham, but Alshon Jeffrey, it's like he doesn't deserve to. Like I said, if it's a couple snaps here and there, I'm not going to cry about it, but that kid should be out there a lot. 95% of the game, if not more. He's proving himself. So there you have it. Thank you all so much for listening. Short week. We're ready to attack. We got the New York Giants on Thursday. It'll be here before you know it. Thank you all so much, and I will see you next time.